Hello guys, how are you? Hope so your journey of learning Blender is going very well. So today we are going to make a simple toy vehicle. So we are going to use this default cube. I am going to select it and increase its thickness S and then scale it in Z direction to decrease its thickness. Then again S to scale and scale it in X direction to increase its width. Then again S to scale and now scale it in Y direction. Then press Y like that. So we have a simple shape, control A and apply the scale. Applying scale is very important. Make it your habit to apply the scale all the times. So you have the uniform scale. Here you can see we have 1 1. If we apply the scale, if we did not apply the scale, then these values will be different and it will affect when we apply the modifier. So make it your habit to apply the scale always when you are going to use the modifier or edit the model. Okay, so this simple shape, then again control A and we are going to add a cube here. So I'm going to move this cube in the up direction in Z direction. So select this cube, the second cube, D and then Z and make it like that. Then press 1 so you have the front view. So if you want to have the front view, you have to press 1 on your numpad, or you can also use these gizmos to have the different views. Just click on Y direction like that and it will give you the view in front of you in normal view. So select this one and then press G, and now I'm going to move it in the Z direction. So G to move it, and then you have to select the direction, press Z and make it near to this lower cube. Okay, then 3. So you have the right side view, or you can also use here on the X on the gizmos. So you have this right side view, and here I'm going to scale it in the Y direction. S to scale and then press Y to scale it in Y direction, then G to move, and now press Y to move it in the Y direction like that. And now we are going to move to the top view. So we can click here on this Z. So you have the top view, or you can also press 7 on your numpad. Now scale it in the X direction. S to scale and then simply press Y. So you tell the Blender you want to scale it in the X direction like that. So we have a little space on all of the sides. So this is the back side. Then I'm going to apply Control A and apply the scale. And when you select this cube, press tab on your keyboard. So you go to the edit mode. Now we are in the object mode. We can also go from here. We can also go to the edit mode, or by pressing the tab on your keyboard. Now select this face, this top face. You have to select it. And now you can see I am not able to select the face because I am in the vertex selection mode. So you have to press face selection mode or press 3 on your keyboard. So select this face, and now we want to move this face. So G, and we want to move it in the Z direction. Press Z like that. And here we want to make it like that. And here we want to have this top surface and we want to duplicate it. So Shift D to duplicate it, and now you can see this top face or plane, we duplicated it, and now it's active with your mouse. You can move it, so you can lock its movement. So I'm going to press Z, so it's only move in Z direction up and down, and I'm going to place it here where it's not touching this lower cube. And here press E to extrude it and extrude it like that. Then I am going to move your mouse on this and press L. So you select all of these parts. Basically this lower cube and this upper cube, these two are a single body. So now we just selected it, then press 7 on your keyboard. So you have the top view and S to scale and make it like that. And here you can see it's bigger than its size. Now at this point these two parts are a single object. So we want to separate these two objects and make them two different objects. I am going to press A to select everything and then press P. So basically you want to separate it, P, and here you have three options: selection, by material, and by loose parts. So these bodies are not connected, so I am going to use by loose parts. And now you can see we have cube 001 and cube 002. So these two bodies are separated. Then press tab to go to the object mode, and now you can see we can select these two objects. Now we needed to move this top body on this surface. So press 3 on your numpad and G to move, and then Z, so you can move it in the lower direction at this point, like that. Okay, now I am going to select this object and press tab to go to the edit mode, and make sure you are in the face selection mode. Select this G to move and move it in the Y direction, like that. Okay, then press tab to go to the object mode, and here I am going to use shift A so we can add a mesh, and we are going to add a cube. G to move it and move it in the Y direction, like that. And here I am going to use the top view, so press 3 on your numpad, so you have the top view, and S to scale and scale it in Y direction, like that. And then G to move it in the uh, Y direction, like that. So we have to move it upward, G to move, and Z to move it upward, so it's just touching the lower object. And now we needed to scale it, S to scale and scale it in X direction, so it's touching the body or the object in back. Okay, so that's good. Then again S to scale, and now scale it in X direction, like that. So it's basically like that. We are good. And then select this object and press tab, so you are in the edit mode. Select this face and G to move and move it in Z direction, like that. And also select this one, G to move, and now move it in Y direction, like that. And press tab to go to the object mode. Now select this one, and I am going to select and press tab, so you are in the edit mode. Select this top surface, G to move and move it in Z direction, like that. We are just making its length, width and height, so it will make a good object. The scale must be good. Okay, like that is good. Now I'm going to use control uh, R to add the loops. Control R, so we can add the loops. Now when you press control R, it will be in the loop is activated. Now rotate your wheel on your mouse if you have, so you increase the number of loops, and then left click to place it, and now it's moving. So to cancel this movement, I'm going to click right click, like that. Okay, now I'm going to select this whole loop and this whole loop to move it on our direction. So Alt to select this complete loop, and then Alt and Shift, so you select this complete loop and also select make sure the previous loop is also selected. Then that's why we use Alt and Shift. Now press G to move and Z to move it in Z direction, like that. Basically we don't need it to select the loop, we only needed to select this top mm, edges. So Shift to select these edges, G to move and move it in Z direction, like that. Then these two, G and Z, and move it like that. And then this single loop, G to move and move it in Z direction. So we just give a circular shape here. Move all of these edges. Then press tab. So we are good. Now I am going to press Shift A and add a cylinder, and G to move and move it in Z direction, like that. Then again G to move and move it in Y direction, like that. S to scale, make it smaller. Then again G to move and move it in Z direction, like that. And here I am going to duplicate this one, this cylinder. So Shift D to duplicate it, and now you can see it's attached with the cursor. So we want to lock its movement with respect to Y. Press Y and place it at this position. We can also S to scale and only scale in Z direction to increase its length, like that. And also select this one, S to scale and scale it in Z direction, like that. Control A to apply the scale. Now select this cylinder and press tab, so you are in the edit mode. Now press 3 on your numpad, so you have the right view. So at this point, if you are following this tutorial, please subscribe my channel, it's very important, and also like this video. Now this object, for this object we are in the edit mode. Make sure you are in the vertex selection, so press 1 or select here, so you are in the vertex selection mode. Now if we left click and select this box, it will only select this front vertices, but we also want to select the vertices in the other side. So shift Z, so you are in the wireframe mode. When you are in the wireframe mode, it will automatically select all the vertices in the view. So 3. Now left click, this box will appear, and make sure all of these vertices are selected. Then press E to extrude and extrude it in Z direction like that. Then press Z, so it will be at this position. Then S to scale and make it little bit bigger. Then again E to scale and place it at this position, and then S to scale. Then again press E to extrude at this point, and then S to scale, make it little bit bigger, so we give a circular shape here. Then E to extrude, and at this point S to scale like that. And now shift Z, so you are in the solid view, and tab to go to the object mode. Okay, so we are using the simple commands. It's not difficult to make. Okay, now I am going to type shift A and add a cylinder, and we are going to rotate it around the y-axis or y, and then type 90, so it's rotated like that. Then G to move and move it in x direction, make it here. Then F to scale and make it smaller, and now S to scale and scale it in x direction like that, like that. Now plus 1 and G and X, move it in X direction like that, and then make rotate your view like that. We have to place it in the middle of this edge. G to move and move it in Z direction like that. Now again G to move and move it in Y direction at this point. Okay, now I am going to duplicate this cylinder, so shift D to duplicate it, and then lock its movement around the x-axis like that. Now we want to basically scale this object. S to scale and make it bigger, then S to scale and scale it in X direction. Now basically we want to scale this object, but we don't want to scale it in X direction. So S to scale, and now press Shift X. So we tell the blender we are locking the X direction, only scale it in the Y and Z direction. So it will not increase its width, or you can say thickness, and make it like that. It's bigger. S to scale and Shift X to lock its position. Okay, S to scale and scale it in X direction to make its thickness smaller. Then G to move and move it in. G to move and then X to move it in X direction like that. We are good. Okay, now again Shift A, and we are going to add a cylinder, or to rotate, and rotate it around the Y, and then type 90. So we rotate it 90 degree. S to scale like that, and now we only want to scale it in the Y and Z direction. S to scale and lock shift X, so it will not extrude it, scale it in the X direction. Make it something like that. Then 3, press 3 on numpad, so you are in the right view. Then G to move and place it at this position. And Control A to apply the scale. Now select this one, uh, shade auto smooth, and select this object. Go to modifier, add a boolean modifier, and here we are going to select this object, so, and then select fast, and this one is here. If we hide it, you can see we make a circular cut here for the design. Okay, next thing, select this one, Control A, and we are going to apply the scale. Then select this one, Control A, apply scale, and now basically we want these two objects to become a single object. So select these two, and we are going to type select this one, and shade smooth it, shade auto smooth it, and then go to add modifier and add a bevel here. So this round edges we will make it, these sharp edges we are going to make it round. 0.05, that's good. Okay, and this object shade smooth and shade auto smooth it. Select this one, add modifier, and we are going to use the boolean. So this is looking good, but I am going to decrease the amount 0.05 and add the segments. Oh, this is good, this is looking good. Okay, and apply this bevel, and also select this and apply the bevel. Sorry. Now select these two objects and I am going to make them single object. So select these two and control and P. And now select these two and control and J. So these two will become single object. I was using control P, but you have to use the control J. Okay, now select this object, go to add modifier, and we are going to use the mirror modifier, and now it's going to mirror it around the origin of this object. So we are going to use a mirror object. So select this object, its mirror on the other side around the x-axis. We also want it to mirror it around the y-axis, along the y-axis. So also select y. Now you can see these two objects are mirrored, but its distance is very small. We are not going to use the x value. Just apply this one, and now you can see we have the wheels here. I'm going to type shift D to duplicate it and then lock its movement around the y-axis to place it like that. Okay, so the design is complete. You can use the shade smooth, auto smooth, also shade smooth and auto smooth, and also apply the um, bevels for this object. It's looking good. Select this one, apply bevel, looking good. Select this one, apply the bevel. So here I am going to give the segments, and I'm going to select tab, and I'm going to select this edge to select this edge and this complete loop. Not this one, I'm going to select these edges and press N, and here under the transform I'm going to increase the main crease and main bevel weight. We are going to make it 1. Go to object mode, and here I am going to use the bevel now, and for the limited method I am going to use the weight. 0.05. So now it's only going to bevel the edges bit we increase the weight. So it's good. Okay, now the design is ready. You can also add the some headlights here, shift A, and we are going to use a cylinder, and R to rotate it around X, and 90, G to move in the Y direction, S to scale and scale it in Y direction like that. And now also S to scale, make it smaller, press 1, G to move and place it at this location, then shift D to duplicate it and move it around the x-axis like that, and select these two, G to move it around the y-axis. Okay, then shade smooth them. You can also scale these two. Has to scale it y-axis like that. Has to scale and scale it y-axis. Okay, so this is good. Now you can add the materials for each component and make a scene. So this will be your like assignment. Make a good scene. Add the material according to your choice. You know that if you select this object, go here and add a new material, and that way you can add the material. So to keep the length of tutorial very short, I'm going to not make this scene. But if you want me to make the scene, please like this and comment